Hi everybody, solving paper 1 2019 May. Drones are small flying machines that can carry camera or package. Students investigate how mass of package affected time for which drone could hover. This is the method used. Packages of different masses were added. Time drone could hover at 1.5 meter from ground was measured. Stop clock was stopped when battery low light came on. In between each test, the battery was recharged fully. Each test was performed 3 times for each mass. Choose the answer from box. Mass of package added to drone is certainly independent variable, because as we varies the mass, the time taken by the drone to hover the 1.5 meter from ground will differ. So mass is independent and time is dependent. Identify two control variable. I will choose that mass of drone, not the package. Mass of package is changing, but mass of drone should be constant. I would also choose initial charge of battery should be constant, as this is if made variable, it will not be or it will be an interfering variable with the independent one, which is mass. Table shows mass of package in gram and the time measured 3 times, and here is the mean. Certainly I will ask about x. We will add these three numbers and divide it by 3. The results will be plot a graph of mass against time from the second point, so from 80 to 200. So 80 on x with 185 on y. We should first find how or what the small square represent. From here to here it is 40 and it is 10 small square, so each small square is 40 over 10, which is 4, and for the y-axis it is 50 represented by 10 small squares, so each small square is 5. Okay, so if we need to plot the point 80 with 185, it would be here with small square just before 200. We can keep on to plot the other 3 points. Draw a line of best fit, so this line should have points above and below equals to each other, and distances between all points and the line is almost the same. Okay, so I may choose this line to be like that. Drone can carry camera. Mass of camera is 140 gram. Determine mean time for drone carrying camera. We will find 140 gram on x-axis. As we said, small square is representing 4, so 140 is before after 120 by 5 small square, which represents 20. So it is 120, and this is the first small square, the second, the third, and here is the fourth one. We should go up to the line and then find the y coordinate of this point on the line. It will be 2.5 small squares before 150. 2.5 small squares means it is 12.5. 12.5 minus 150, so it will be 137.5 seconds. Drone has maximum speed in air of 5.5 meter per second. Calculate maximum distance in 266 seconds. So we know that velocity equals to distance over time. So distance equal to velocity times the time. The answer would be 1330 meter. Okay. The maximum time the drone can fly through air is less than 266 seconds. Give one reason why. Because there is a friction with air or air resistance, and this air resistance opposes the force of the drone's motor, so energy drained from its battery by the motor will be consumed faster, and so time it remains flying would be less. Okay, it's just an ethical issue that might occur when using a drone. It might fall on somebody, or you can say that privacy of persons can be manipulated when drone have a camera. Pacemaker helps to control rate at which person's heart beats. Here is its image. And past radioactive source were used to power pacemaker. Radioactive source emitted alpha particle. Okay. What is an alpha particle? It is certainly a 2 neutrons and 2 protons. Source had life of 87.7 years. Why is source of this half-life is suitable for using pacemaker? Because it takes too long to be uh, um, decayed, and pacemaker for this reason will not be changed frequently. What is beta particle? Electron emitted from an energy level, no. Electron emitted from nucleus, yes. Source was contained in plastic case. Explain why sources that emitted alpha particle wouldn't be suitable as a power source for pacemaker. Because beta particles has higher penetration, unlike alpha particle which has low penetration, and it has it has more total ionization effect on cells. It is not more than the alpha if alpha penetrates the same distance, but as alpha penetrate much smaller distances than beta, so total ionization effect on cells will be less in alpha with respect to beta. So we can change this way of expression just to make ourselves clear to the examiner and say that it has ionization effect on cells. Modern pacemakers contain electrical cells, give one advantage and one disadvantage of using electrical cells instead of radioactive sources to power pacemaker. Advantage, it avoid radiation hazards, and disadvantage, it needs to be replaced frequently. Diodes are components used in electrical circuit. Which of the following is the symbol for diode? Will be this symbol. Which graph shows current in diode varies with potential difference? It will be this graph. Describe resistance of diode when connected in a circuit in forward direction. It has low resistance. Torch uses lead. Some torches uses filament instead of lead. Explain one advantage of lead. It saves energy because it uses low current, and we know that power is equal to I times V, as V of the batteries are constant. So current in lead, as it is smaller than current in filament, total power or total energy consumed by lead will be less, so it saves energy. Different leads emit light of different color. Table shows potential difference across current in different leads. So give reason the green lead transfer most energy per second. As we just said, power is equal to I times V. So if we multiply every two cells here and found the answer, we will find that green has the most power, and you may notice that current is constant, so the greatest in potential difference is the greatest in power, and certainly will be the green. Determine resistance of green lead and use physics equations. So we know that power is equal to I squared R. Okay, so sorry, we can we will use the equation V equals I times R. So R is equal to 3.4 here from the table over 20, but this is 20 in milliampere. So we will convert it to the ampere because we want the final answer in ohm units. Use your calculator. It will be 170 ohm. Reactions can occur when light passes from one material. Sorry, refraction can occur when light passes from one material to another. Complete the sentence. Light refracts when it passes from one material into another. This is because of light changes. It is the speed. Light doesn't change direction as it passes from one material into another when angle of incidence is 90 degree. Describe how student could use measurements to determine refractive index of prisms, and here is the component of experiment. Put slit in front of ray box, okay. To obtain a narrow beam, put perspex on a paper and in front of a beam. Trace both incident and emerging beam on and from perspex box. Trace perspex base, okay. Remove perspex box and connect incident and emerging beams. Draw normals to lines that represent entering and emerging rays on faces of perspex. Use protractor to measure angle of incidence and of refraction, where angle of incidence I is between the normal to the face where the ray entering the perspex box. This is the angle of incidence, and here is the refracted ray inside, and here is the refracted outside. And if we draw a normal here, this will be the angle of refraction, okay. Sorry, this should be in the other side. Because it should be parallel to the entering one. Let me draw it in more clearer way. Here is the block, and here is the traced entering ray, and here is the refracted ray inside the block that incident on the other face, and here is the normal on the face of which the light leaves the prismax box, and here is the ray leaving the prismax box that should be, as I said, parallel to the entering one. Okay, so as we said, angle of incidence is between normal and the incident light, and angle of refraction is between leaving ray and the normal. N is sine I over sine R. Change I and repeat previous steps. Take average of values of N. If N is 1.49, calculate critical angle. we know that n equals 1 over sine c, where c is the critical angle, or sine c is equal to 1 over n, so c is equal to sine minus 1 over 1.49. Answer will be. Some people wears glasses to correct their vision. Lenses in glasses can be made from different material. Table show different material. The refractive index, percent of UV transmitted, and density in G per centimeter cube. Explain why Trivix is better than glass for making lenses. First, it has zero UV transmittance, so more protection to eye. It has also lower density, and for same volume of glass it will be lighter, so more comfortable to the person who wears the glass. Higher refractive index, so lower R, which means it is more powerful, because as R is low, this means that refraction is lower and rays are focused in small angle, so it is more powerful. Protostar is first stage in life cycle of stars. Protostar is made from cloud of dust and gas. Take the correct answer, for which force bonds together dust and gas to make protostar. It will be certainly gravity. Which two statements describe main sequence star? Chemical reactions happen inside core of a star to release energy. It's not chemical reactions, because chemical reactions occurs in the energy levels that contains electrons, but fusions that occurs inside star is occurring between nuclei. Energy is released by fusion of hydrogen nuclide to make helium nuclide. This is correct. Forces inside main sequence star are unbalanced. No, should be balanced. Gravity should be balanced by radiation pressure. The less massive star, the hotter core. No. Temperature and density of star are greatest at core of star. This is correct. Star Betelgeuse has much greater mass than Sun. Describe similarities and differences between life cycle of Sun and Betelgeuse. Sun formed first from cloud of dust and gas, where protostar formed when gravity, inward gravity equals outward radiation pressure. If the protostar was less than its solar masses, which is the case in Sun, H ran off the Sun, hydrogen ran off the Sun, because it is fused in the core to helium, so it is consumed, and core collapses and make red giant, and this collapsed core become white, so it is white dwarf, and then becomes black, so it is black dwarf. Betelgeuse also begins with cloud of dust and gas, protostars, and it is greater than its solar masses, so it forms red supergiant, and once again core collapse, and after collapse it explodes, make a supernova, and the remaining core, if it is less than 3 solar masses, it will be neutron star. If it is greater than 3 solar masses, it will be black hole. Small nuclear reactors are used in submarines to generate electricity. Electricity can then be used to drive the propellers to make the submarine move. Uranium can be used as fuel in a nuclear reactor. Which other fuel can be used? It will be plutonium, as it is radioactive source. What is meant by nuclear fission, which occurs in the reactor, means that large nuclei split in two smaller nuclei by hitting the large one with fast neutrons, and this produce large amount of energy. Complete the following figure to represent fission of uranium 235 chain reaction. So here is a neutron, here is uranium 235. After hitting, it will be two smaller nuclei plus neutrons, and the neutrons will hit other uranium 235. This is what we mean by chain reaction. Explain function of control rods in nuclear reactor. It absorbs neutrons, so less nuclei are hit and less fission, and the chain reaction is stopped or slowed. Diesel engines can be used in submarines to charge batteries. Electricity from batteries is then used to power propellers, so submarine can move. Evaluate use of nuclear reactor and diesel engine to generate electricity for submarine. So for nuclear, it is advantageous because it doesn't need for refueling, can stay for so long under water, but the disadvantage, it has a risk in case of leak, and there is a difficulty in getting rid of radioactive waste. Figure shows electric motor. When there is a current, coil rotates. Explain why. Because the two sides of coil experience electromagnetic forces in opposite direction, then this causes a moment on a coil about its axis. The commutator and the brushes make current change direction in coil. So if it is A, B, C, D, it first enter in this side DC and goes out from BC, but after half a cycle, when the coil become A, B on left and DC on right, we will have the current flows from A B side to CD side, which means the reversing current inside the coil. This reversing after every half cycle is necessary to make the coil always rotate in same direction, because current in both sides should be, whatever their names, A, B or CD, should be in same direction with respect to the direction of field, to have our force on both sides the same uh, the same uh, situation, not the same to each other. They are opposite to each other, but this opposition is kept in one up and one down. So if we look here, for example, here is the direction of the field, and here is the direction of the current. So force here is down and force here is up, so rotation in the anti-clockwise direction. When there is a reversing for the current in coil, it keeps on this side whatever its name, it keeps going into page, and in this side it keeps out of page, and also forces will be opposite to each other, but the same situation in as previous, so the same rotation of coil. During earthquakes, buildings can collapse. Figure shows robot designed to find people inside collapsed building. Robot is operated remotely and has a camera on the front. Electric motors makes legs of robot rotate, moving the robot forward. Give to changes to electric motor that would make the robot move faster. It will be stronger magnet or increasing the current, because this increases the uh, electromotive force on coil, and it increases the speed of rotation of coil, and hence increases the rotation of legs of the robot or makes the robot move faster. Give to changes to electric motors that would make the robot move backward. It means how we can reverse the rotation of the coil of the motor of robot. We can do this by reversing the current in coil, or reversing the current direction with respect to the magnetic field, or reversing the magnetic field with respect to the current direction. Suggest two advantages of using this robot to find people inside collapsed building instead of rescue dogs and their handlers. They are safer because it operates remotely, so there is no need for handlers to be uh, near the collapsed building, or something might fall after a period of time from earthquakes. And it can be made to enter smaller spaces by minimizing the size of robots. Horses ridden along a straight track, and figure shows feet graph. Determine time for which horse was traveling at constant velocity. This is the time from B to C, and it is, as we see here, 10 is represented by 5 small squares, so every small square here is representing 2. So we begin before 30 by 1 small square, so it is 28, and we finish after 60 by 1 small square and half, so it is 36. So the time here will be 36 minus 28, which is 35. How can you tell there is greatest acceleration between C and D? Acceleration is the slope of this graph. So by knowing that the slope is the greatest between C and D, calculate this slope. It will be difference on y in velocity. C here, um, here is 10 small square representing 2, so every small square represents a 5. So we begin with every small square representing 0.2. This 2 over 10 0.2. So we begin before 6 by 1 small square, so it is 5.8, and we finish here after 14 by 1 small square, so we finish at 14.2. This is on y axis, 14.2 minus 5.8, and on x axis we begin after 60 by 1.5 small square, so we begin by 63 and finish here at 90. So it is 90 minus 63, and the result will be so weight of horse is 6.37 kilonewton. Calculate kinetic energy at B, where G is given also 9.8 Newton per kilogram or meter per second squared. So to find kinetic energy, we need to find the mass, because we know that kinetic energy is equal to half mv squared. And to find the mass, we will use the weight. So weight equals to mass times G. Mass will equal to the weight converted to Newton instead of kilonewton divided by G to find the result in kilogram. And kinetic energy will be half this mass times 5.8, which is given from the graph at B, 5.8 squared. So the answer will be on calculator like this, and as he requires it to be to two significant figure, we will take the 1 and take the 0 after determining whether we will rounding it up or leave it as it is. We will round it because it is followed by 9, and we will put 3 zeros in place of 933. After being ridden, horse is led away by two people using ropes, and figure shows forces from two ropes acting on horse. The angle between these forces is 60 degree. Draw vector diagram determines the magnitude of resulted force. So as this is for Newton, we may choose 1 centimeter scale to represent 100 Newton. So this for Newton can be represented by 4 centimeter, and we can use this plotting sheet to make 1 centimeter as one large square. So 400 Newton force vector will be represented by 4 large squares, and 200 Newton vectors will be represented by this distance. Okay, and we should use the protractor to make this line at 60 degree from this line. And as we wanted to find the resultant force, and we know that resultant force for two vectors like this should be a vector that oppose its direction of following. To find its direction of following, we can transfer this to be like that, which is parallel to each other, and then the resultant oppose the direction which both of these two follow each other, so resultant is in the opposite direction. Or you can make something like that, keep that constant and make that like this. It is also parallel, so these two vectors follow each other, and the resultant oppose the direction of following. Choose the one you want. I made here the first option, and I made the resultant one. You can use the rule to find the length of this uh, resultant force. And here is everything. Thank you for watching, and see you later.